Hey, hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Pranav Gandhi. As you can see on your screen, this particularly introductory screen is for those people who are watching this video for the first time, don't know me, and attending these sessions for the first time. So, all those newcomers, my name is Pranav Gandhi. I'm a trainer and a consultant. Have total industry experience of around 22 plus years. On the left side you can see these are the various domains I have worked for over these 22 plus years, and some of the academics and certifications are also mentioned in the center, and you can have all my communication details over there at the bottom on the screen. Well, so we started this channel in the last month, that is recently, and till now we have covered few of the videos. I'm going to show you the list of all those videos, right? This is going to be an episode number 14, but not definitely the video number 14. Probably this is video number 19, right? So earlier few videos were for the introduction of various topics, right? So we are going to see an episode number 14, and that belongs to basic statistics for data science, right? So here through this channel and through this effort, what I'm going to do is I want to communicate with all you guys whatever little knowledge I have, and I'm going to share it with you. And if for those who are interested to do batches with me, right? So I of course work as a professional trainer, so I do conduct batches, online batches. So for those who want to join a batch and do all this learning quickly, okay, because these sessions are going to be taking some time, because I'm also working for some of the institutes as a trainer. So whenever I get time, I do upload such videos, and going forward definitely I will make sure that at least couple of videos per week I'm going to make on different topics, and of course the topics which are not covered, or otherwise the topics which are covered but there is some depth to it. So maybe for those advanced learner, if you are stay connected with me, definitely one day we are going to deep dive into some of the topics, right? So these are the total 19 videos we have created. I mean, this is going to be the 19th one, the last one in the list. Last one means last one in the list. Okay, so we begin with introduction to myself. My name is Pranav Gandhi, as I said, and all that introduction is there. Then we have I have explained in this video, in the second video, with the data science and with Python and R. So Python and R are basically the tools or languages, you can say, programming languages, which we are going to use to do all these analytical studies, which is very important in data science and machine learning, so to say, right? So when it comes to R and Python, I definitely go through, I start with from very basic, from the scratch, that is how to download R and how to download Python. The videos for that has been already created, and then I have also created one video which is second in the list, so what is going to be the curriculum for this particular course, data science with R and Python, with of course me, Pranav Gandhi. So that curriculum has been also explained in detail. What are the different topics will be covered? Okay, so you can please search on for that video on my channel, and you can easily search it, because that was the video number 2. And then after learning the curriculum, you will understand that there are some modules in it, right? And out of those modules, first module was basic statistics. Okay, so we are discussing this basic statistics for data science, okay, from episode number 1, that is from the video number 6, if you see on your list on your screen, right? So from there we have started this, and this is going to be the last episode of basic statistics for data science, right? So the entire statistical analysis, which is at a very basic level, which is required, has been covered in all these videos. Okay, so those who have not gone through all of them, okay, or missed some of them, please kindly go through it, so that it's going to help you, to carry along with me on this learning path, right? And definitely, if you are missing any of this information going forward, because everything is connected, so all previous dots has to be matched. If you are not crossing all those dots, if you are not watching all these videos, then it is slightly getting to be very difficult for those who don't have any idea about it. I know some of the channel viewers are my earlier students from my earlier batches. Some of the students are maybe they are attending somewhere else, learning somewhere else, but for additional information they are probably looking at this channel. So for those who are having such ideas, for them it's not going to be a problem. But for those people who are new to this data science and this basic statistical analysis and all these things, so please kindly go through all these videos, right? The topic wise videos have been explained, name also have been given meaningful. So let us begin with today's topic, and today we are going to discuss how to calculate the confidence interval, right, versus point estimate using the t-table explained. Okay, using the t-table, this is going to be explained today with a case study, of course. Obviously, we have done this same exercise in our last session, and in that session at the end I have told you that the next learning video will be with the t-distribution, right? So the case study is going to be same. Those who have attended this session or those who have seen this video will be very easy for them. It will be very easy to understand because the case study is going to be same. Okay, only the distribution table or the distribution we are going to use differently. Why and all we are going to discuss today, right? So the case study I am quickly briefing. The case study was to calculate the average balance, that is the mu, for the population where it is lying and in which interval, right? So we have already seen what is confidence interval, why it is required, why it is essential. That videos has been already created, right? So from there I am just beginning for this particular topic, right? So the data given over here again with the same case study is the number of alumni, if you see. So let me check where is this. Okay, so the number of alumni, that is going to be our capital N over here. So again we are going to basically learn a new formula. So okay, my pad is not connected, give me a minute guys. Yeah, it's been connected now. Is it? No, it's not yet. Yeah, it's connected. Alright, sorry for disturbance. My pad was not connected then. Okay, so let me move. So the case study is all about, we are talking about there is a university which are having 1 lakh alumni, okay, the participants or the students who are studying in that university, and the university want to launch a credit card which is also called as affinity credit card, just to facilitate their alumni. And of course their profitability of the credit cards will depend on the average balance maintained by these card holders, right? And in the last episode also we have seen that a market research campaign has been launched, and 140 alumni, which is going to be my sample size, that is my small n, and this is going to be my capital N. So 140 alumni have accepted the card as a pilot launch, right? And the average balance maintained by these alumni, that is these samples, okay, is 1990, and the standard deviation. So 1990 is nothing but is going to be my x bar, and the standard deviation for the sample is 2833, which is going to be s, my small s, right? So assume, so in the last episode what we have seen, that we have calculated the mean balance for the population. The meaning of this is, from this given information about 140 alumni, that is the samples, whatever numbers we have got, from these information we want to find out or do the analysis that where the average balance will be fall, average balance in the card, average balance hold in the card will be fall if all these alumni, that is the population, if all these alumni will accept the card and start using it. That is what our business problem is basically. So in the last example we have seen that the population standard deviation also has been given to us, means we have assumed it, actually we have assumed it, okay, which was nothing but our sigma. Now what happened, this population standard deviation was from previous launches, but there are universities who have never launched such type of what you can say the card affinity card launching program or something like that, never offered to their alumni, and they are doing this activity for the first time. So now if they are doing it for the first time, which means that this thing is not going to be there because it is from previous launches. So now the thing is that we don't know the sigma, right? And if we don't know the sigma, how to calculate this, how to find out this, the average balance for the population, how to do that? This is our problem, right? So what we are discussing over here is, what if we don't know the sigma, how to calculate the population standard deviation, average balance, okay, where it can be lying, right? So now in our case study, this is just basically repeating, I'm repeating this, right? So we have assumed that the standard deviation from previous launches. Now our problem is to calculate the mean balance value to be fall in what interval, right? So we don't have this, right? So in such scenario what we are going to do is, because we have only details about 140 samples and their mean balances and their standard deviation. Now using this information, okay, can we find out where our mu will lie? Yes, definitely we are going to find out with some assumptions. Of course, this is statistics, it comes with assumptions. But there are some theoretical basis to it, right? So under such scenario, what we are going to do is, instead of using our sigma, statisticians have replaced this sigma with their best guess, and that is S, because this is we are going to be available with in real time scenario as well. Whenever we have been given the sample data, okay, none of the organization, even though they are having it for some of the population detail, and as we have already explained in sampling variation and all, or even sampling frame, that 100% population details are very, I mean, it is subjective to be, that someone is having it, right? Because it's not going to be possible, right? Every time the data is changing, the figures are changing every time. So the population, even population is changing, because the entire information is nothing but the population, and the entire information is always keep on changing. And that is why always the statisticians do whatever analysis, they do it on sample, and that is why it is called as sample statistics, sample stats or inferential stats, right? So now we are going to do this without sigma. We don't know the population, right? So under such circumstances, okay, if the underlying population is normally distributed, again the if is there, which means we are assuming. We are assuming because we have seen that for analytical purpose we have to do these assumptions, and why we have to do this assumption is also we have seen because if you find out any natural phenomena available on the planet, okay, or everywhere, natural phenomena we are talking about, it will always follow a normal distribution, be it your age, be it your weight, be animals height, be animals other behaviors, okay, or so to say maybe trees heights, maybe birds species, right, any species for that matter. So what nature, basically we are talking about nature, right. So if you even find out the details of the temperature changes for so many years, okay, through, and you plot it against season wise and all, you will see, okay, it will again follow a normal distribution. And that is why with these assumptions, okay, we are understanding that if the underlying population is normally distributed, if it is normally distributed, then the T is a random variable distributed according to the T distribution. So something like we have seen log tables, we have seen Z tables, there is something called as T table as well, right? And there is something called as T distribution, right? So that T distribution will always come with n minus 1 degrees of freedom, where n is nothing but our sample size. So in this case our sample size is 114, that is why 140 minus 1 is going to be 139 is my degrees of freedom. N minus 1 degrees of freedom is going to be 139. And researchers have done a lot of research, and it has shown that this particularly T distribution, okay, is very fairly robust to the deviation of the population of a normal model, right? So we have already known this formula, how to calculate the standard deviation for samples, okay. This is how T will be calculated, right? And for that we are going to refer the T table, right? So before getting into the formula, how to calculate the T and all, and how to use that T to calculate the average balance for the population further, let us first understand the distribution, okay. It is also called as students T distribution. Students T distribution. Now after a lot of experiments, statisticians have come up with something like this, that if the degrees of freedom increases in T distribution, then the T distribution, which is this inner curve, T distribution is, this is T and this is Z, that is standard normal distribution, right? So what it gives is any falling value in this curve, okay, how much part away, or how much it is deviated from the mean, right? And it always gives us 0 mean and 1 standard deviation, which is the standard normal distribution, right? So to achieve this type of distribution, okay, you have to keep on increasing the degrees of freedom, and once you reach to fair amount of degrees of freedom, okay, it actually, you can see here the curve is going up, okay, the gap over here has been reduced to this, and now it is exactly resembling the standard normal distribution, right? And that is why, if you remember, in sample size calculation we have seen that how much sample size is sort of a sufficient, or may be adequate, or may not be adequate, as we have seen, okay. The sample size has to be fairly large enough, which means over there we have seen the sample size has to be minimum 30, because once 30 degrees of freedom has been achieved, which means n plus 1 is 31, that is my samples, total number of samples are 31, okay, my t distribution resembles like my z distribution. And you can increase this sample size to infinite actually. So as you go on towards it, okay, as the degrees of freedom increases, the t distribution approaches the standard normal distribution always, right? So to get exactly this 0 mean and 1 standard deviation, you can increase or keep increasing the degrees of freedom towards infinity, which means in other ways you have to keep increasing on sample size, right? But then if we increase the sample size, the distribution is already there for us to follow, right? Then why to use the t distribution? So t distributions, another application is whenever the sample size is lower than 30 or lower than, the lesser size, the samples in lesser amount is available, okay, then normally we go for t distribution. Okay, so there are two applications. One is when the sigma is not known, most of the times it will be the case, and obviously when the sample size is not large enough, right? So earlier we have seen when the sigma was known, this was the formula to calculate the confidence interval for our mean, population mean, right, which can lie in between, okay, that in between that confidence interval, right? Now this formula is going to change to this. Now what is the change happened over here? Everything remains same. If you see, x bar is x bar, okay, sigma has been replaced by s, that is population standard deviation has been replaced by sample standard deviation, root n is as it is. The only thing is, instead of using the z-score, we are going to use over here is the t-score, and this t-score will be for again t 1 minus alpha, that is same z 1 minus alpha ke jaise hi. Okay, if I want to have a 95% confidence interval, then I am going to check the area for 0.975. Why? We have already seen in last video, right? Similarly here also, if I want to have a 95% confidence interval, I am going to check a value for 0.975 t, right, with an additional parameter over here, and that is called n minus 1 degrees of freedom, okay, which is in our case 139, which means now what I want to find out is, with this example, based on our details given in this particular case study, what we have? We have n is 140, right? So n minus 1 is obviously going to be 139. I'm going to use S2833. I'm going to use x bar, right? And obviously our formula was x bar minus, or let me say plus minus, x bar plus minus t in bracket 1 minus alpha comma 139 multiplied by s over root n. This is going to be my formula. So this plus minus is nothing but one value is towards minimum side, and that is why I am going to deduct it from x bar. So x bar t 1 minus alpha comma 139 into s upon root n. This is going to be one value, and the other value will be x bar plus t 1 minus alpha comma 139 multiplied by s upon root n. This is going to be my another value, which is the maximum value, and this is going to give me the interval. Within this interval, I am saying that my mu, that is my average balance for the population, average card balance for the population, has to fall, right? But based on this confidence interval. So when I get these intervals, if you see, when I calculate it for 95%, when I calculate it for 90%, when I calculate it for 99%, okay, what happens? My interval goes on increasing, right? If I reduce it to 0, then I'm talking about 1990, which is my point estimate, So this is going to be my, at 0 confidence, 0% confidence, my mean is 1990, and as my confidence am increasing, my interval is going to increase. So as we had the z table, here we have to calculate the t value from t table. So let us calculate what is the value for t 1 minus alpha 139, that is nothing but 1 minus alpha is 0.975 comma 139, which is degrees of freedom. Let us see how z table look like. So this is going to be our z table, right? So this is going to be our z table, and if you see in this table, you will find few things. Okay, so this is going to be our t table. Okay, so this is a t table for you, and in this t table you can see the degrees of freedom are mentioned in the first column, right? And the confidence intervals are mentioned at the bottom. So simply when I want to find out the 95% confidence interval t value, right, for any number of degrees of freedom, I will simply cross check. So currently our value is 139. So if you see in the table, the values starting from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up to 30, they are in continuation. After 30, you will see directly there is a value of 40, then 60, then 80, then 100, and then 1000, right? Which means, that is why we say that once the n-1, the degrees of freedom achieves the 30 value, so for 31 samples, after that, okay, there is not much deviation, okay, there is not much deviation is going to be there to calculate the confidence interval. Okay, so that is why here in this our example, if you see, we are going to use the closest value to 139, which is 100, and that is why we are going to take this value 1.984 for 95% confidence interval. So if I take that value to calculate further, right, if we take this value to calculate further, this 1.98 value for t 0.975 with 139 degrees of freedom, of course we have taken this value from the t table, then we are going to get the confidence interval, which is this one, because you simply put that values into the formula of x bar minus 1.98 multiplied by, what is 2833 by 140? 239.46. So if you take this value and you take this value 1.98 multiplied by 239.46, this is going to be our interval, right? So let us take the calculator. Is it there? Where is the calculator for us? Yes, it is there. So let us calculate this value now. X bar is 1990, so first of all 1.98 into 239.46, the value is going to be 474.13. 474.13, if this value I add it, 474.13 it's going to be 2464, right? So this is our 2464, which is maximum value, and the other value is 474.13 again. So 1990 minus 474.13 is going to be 50, right? So 0.87 has been converted into or rounded off to 1516. Now if you see here the difference between these two ranges, so what was the range for the when we use the Z distribution? It was 1576 and 2404. 1576 2404. 1576 2404. So 1576 2404. So if you see the range, this range is slightly you can say a compressed one, right? Whereas this one is what you can say non-compressed or wider one. Okay, so this is a narrower range and this is a wider range, right? So T distribution will always give us a wider interval than our Z distribution, right? So this is going to be the end of the session for basic statistics. If you have any question, any queries, any doubts as far as calculation for this and all, okay, you can always use any of my medium for communication. Okay, you can comment on YouTube, you can directly send me WhatsApp messages, which is also available on my Facebook page. You can please comment on the Facebook page as well, or my LinkedIn ID is also given, or my email ID is also given, right? So through any of these communication mediums, or if you want to give me suggestions, feedbacks, or if you want to understand more deeply about any of these topics which we have discussed, okay, so you can please comment it on, and I can try to give you the solutions one-on-one for that, right? So I'm going to put all this communication information within this the description of this video, right? And this is going to be your assignment. Okay, so you can please try to calculate 90% and 99% confidence interval. Okay, and please send your interpretations as well by using this particular formula for T distribution, right? So I wish you all the best. Thank you very much for joining me on this session as well. And if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe it, hit the bell icon beside it, so that you will be not missing any of the updated videos, okay, which I am going to upload every now and then whenever I get time, right? And to be connected, you can also like our Facebook page, okay? So I'm going to share all that information in the description. Thank you very much. See you guys. Bye bye. Take care.